I've been building my Evo 9 MR to compete in GridLife's Time Attack series for the past 2 years, but this season we're leaving no stone unturned in our pursuit of speed, horsepower, handling, weight reduction. When we're done with her, Lana the Lancer is going to be the whole package, all sponsored by Advance Auto Parts. Previously on the Time Attack Evo build, we arrived at RS Motors and got the car all reassembled for a benchmark dyno run to see where we're at in power. We then installed a brand new turbo and header and did another dyno session to see just how much more power the new setup could make. After the results of the new turbo, Ron began fabricating a custom 3.5-inch exhaust to see if there's any more power we can squeeze out of this setup. But power isn't the only thing we're going to be focusing on this year. We also need to make the car turn, and there's a number of ways we're going to do that, one of which is suspension. The goal when you're modifying an Evo suspension is to get it as low as possible to try and reduce weight transfer. But as soon as you start lowering the car, you're going to screw up the factory control arm angle, and that is going to result in greater roll moment. These are SSB billet uprights, and they are the solution to that problem. What they do is literally replace the factory upright, and they allow the control arm to mount 2 inches lower on the overall car than they would with a factory upright. Not only that, but they're also going to drop a good deal of weight. I know the rears drop at least 3 pounds and the front might drop some weight as well. These are not cheap, but based on the other Evo guys that I've spoken to that run these, they're an absolute game changer. And considering that the number one thing I want the Evo to do this year is turn better, these and that front diff I think are going to make a massive difference.
Part of switching to these uprights is the benefit of moving the hub higher. So now you have a roll center fix of 1.25 in the rear and 2 inch in the front. What that does is you can have your car center of gravity low by lowering the car and still correcting the suspension geometry to be on the right spot. When you see these track cars and they're low to the ground, it's not always done properly. When you pay attention to the suspension pieces and what they're doing, if it's not corrected, it actually is a worse handling car than it should be from the factory. This will correct that back to its right spot or close to it, even when the car is lowered.
So the plan is obviously take the knuckle and hub, everything off. We're gonna take the caliper off and leave it on the car, hang it somewhere, and then the rest of the stuff that's unnecessary that doesn't need to come off, we'll take off and keep it with the car. Typically, Evos are known for this. Their ABS sensors usually rust in place from not being obviously taken out or serviced. We'll soak it in PB Blaster and see, hopefully that does the trick. We'll try to save it. If it doesn't, then we just got to replace it with a new one.
This is the first ABS sensor that we've actually managed to successfully pull out. These things are in there tight.
These are lightweight pieces compared to the cast pieces that are stock on the car.
We have about 4 pounds difference. Not bad. Each corner loses about 4 pounds. It helps overall. So now we just got to put it back on the way we took it off. So.
While removing the old rusty knuckles, we're also going to replace the wheel bearings with some new Moog parts from Advance Auto Parts. SSB billet uprights have made it possible for us to lower the car without hurting the handling. But suspension isn't the only way to make a car turn better. Last year, I had a little bit of an oopsie at the racetrack, which resulted in one of my beloved Advan GTs getting cut in half. Now that was obviously not ideal, and I spent the rest of the season running a hodgepodge of different wheels and wheel combinations, but I never really found something that I absolutely loved. This is a wheel that I absolutely love. This is the Advan RG4. This is a fairly brand new wheel. They I think were released in November of 2021. They are 18 by 10 inches wide, which is, you know, a nice wide wheel that should help me take full advantage of that 255 width tire that I'm gonna get with minimal sidewall movement. The spoke concavity allows it to clear even the biggest of brakes, and then the side cut design in the side of the spokes allows it to weigh as little as possible for a cast wheel.
All right, we're gonna check and see what the weight difference is between these Advans that have been on the car and the new Advans that are going on the car. Now the difference between these wheels is that the Advan GTs are forged and the Advan RG4s are cast, flow casts. So RG4s are wider, they're not as expensive, they're not made with the same forged process, so I would expect that the RG4s are definitely gonna be heavier. Let's just see how much heavier. Wheel and tire for the Advan GT is right at 44 pounds. Nice. It's 44.4, so right about, like, I would say half a pound to a pound heavier per wheel. That's really not bad. It's not bad at all, considering it's a bigger wheel and it's cast instead of forged. Pretty happy with that.
Obviously white is gonna be very difficult to keep clean at the track, but I have these wheels coated by my buddies at Automotive Aesthetic to try and make it as easy a process as possible. With all the mods on the car, it's now time to dyno it with the 3.5-inch exhaust and see if all of Ron's hard work was worth it.
Hopefully it makes more power. If it makes no more horsepower and it makes 500 RPM sooner spool or something like that, still totally happy.
Horsepower wise, I don't know, I'm hoping at least 420, 425. But torque, I think we'll break 375.
Oh my God.
Just going up?
What do you think, you big head?
Oh my God.
This ain't gonna be a freight train.
Hey Ben, it's working. I mean, any gain is a gain, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess if it was like between 5 and 7 horse, you could probably just ignore it, but this is a lot. This is a lot of gain.
What does a spool look like comparatively?
It looks the same compared to the graph. It might have gone to the left just a hair. F***ing A. Makes it all worth it.
That's some exhaust you welded, bro.
Oh man. Now I want one for my car. I know exactly which parts
There
to
you
get.
go, there you go.
Except for the O2 housing. I have to get that O2 housing from them.
R-Tech Performance is the truth. Holy cow.
You can't discount the Australians.
Now, at this point I was thinking this car just gained 25 wheel horsepower from a 3.5-inch exhaust, but because of about a 10-degree temperature difference in the shop from this dyno pull versus the ones we did yesterday with the 3-inch exhaust, we have to look at the corrected horsepower and torque figures.
I stand corrected. It does help. I turn it down just a bit.
So we gained pretty much everything from beginning all the way to the top.
So solid line is...
Solid line is today. The solid line, black is torque and red is horsepower. You can see the gain starting from here at 3,000 RPM all the way through. It gets wider as it gets to the top. So if we compare that to your stock one, probably lost some spool. Lost a little bit, but it gained it right back. So anything less than 3,000 is losing. And it's a big gain starting at 5,000. It's a big gap. Before, your power fell off after 6,500. Not completely, it flattened out and then started falling off. Right now you're making power up to 73 and it's just flat all the way through. If we're doing the corrected, we came from 380 to 420.
40 horsepower.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yes, sir.
Were you expecting that much of a difference?
No.
You didn't think the 3.5 would?
No, it's a gain for sure, but I wasn't expecting quite that much. So.
Every time I come up here, you know, it seems like we kind of maximize the car. We get another 40 horsepower out of it or something. And we did the same thing this year. But this year I really feel like the car is as fast as it can go in street class. We did all the handling upgrades. We did really all the horsepower you can get. So we need to win this class this year because we have the car for it. So I just need to drive. But we're not done yet. We're here at ASM with Andy, who's basically the third host of the channel, and he's got it on his dyno. We're gonna find out how much the Evo makes on Andy's dyno versus Ben's Civic. Let her rip. Okay, Ben, so the Civic needs to be 455?
455?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Should be easy. Stock K series.
Let's do it, Ben.
Next time on Gears and Gasoline, the Civic gets reassembled. We try our best to clean up the car before everything goes back in, maximizing the class rulebook in every area, and then find out if it makes any more power.